This episode is brought to you by Gainz Sports Gear. Make sure you head on over to GAINZ sportsgear.com and enter the code LOVERS10 for 10% off your first purchase. And now, let's start the show.
Lovers Quarrel. It's a long, sustained quarrel.
What's going on, world?
Hey, everybody.
It's your guy, TJ, Mr. New Cool.
And it's your girl, Dani, your really ready raccoon.
And you do like a raccoon, so that works.
That's what they tell me at times when I'm very tired.
Yeah.
The plight of being light. So my dark circles tend to peak out when I'm exhausted. But welcome to another episode of Lovers Quarrel.
Late edition.
Yes, I already have
that. Thanks to Dani.
I already have the episode title in the bag. You know, it's going to be a day late and $1 short. So,
okay.
Because, you know, I own that this week we were late. And you know what? I'm not sorry. I'm sorry to y'all, but I'm not sorry for why we were late. We weren't in a space where we could really record.
Listen, I didn't say anything. All the stuff was that we're late because of you.
I know, but I feel like we kind of I always feel like, transparency, or
we could be transparent.
A bit of a
See, I'm a true star, so I can go through it whenever.
That's a lie, because I definitely remember there was an episode a couple of weeks ago, maybe definitely within the last 2 months, where you were not down for recording and I made you do it, and it ended up being one of our better episodes.
Okay, so which means that...
But I made you. You didn't want to do it.
Which means I'm the star.
But yes, in the sense that you are spoiled and stubborn.
Okay.
So...
I'll take that. Either way, the episode's coming out, so... Yes,
it is. And again, we apologize, but we rather bring you quality content than cruddy content. And, there are times when me and TJ can kind of push through when me are going through it, but there are other times where we need a little bit more time. And I'll take that. And this time it was me. And I own that. And if it makes me a diva, if it makes me not a star, then I'll own that. So,
sorry for that. Dani has her computer out.
Yeah, it was just a little gentle reminder about something. I don't know. But we're going to move right along into our elevator talk. Would you like to go first, sir, or would you like me to go first?
Getting straight to business? You didn't even ask me how I was doing.
Well, how are you doing?
No, we can go in the elevator.
Okay. Well, we can jump back off the elevator. We're still in the lobby. How are you, sir?
You don't care.
I do care.
That's debatable. Questionable.
I didn't care maybe a day and a half ago, but I care now.
I'm living.
That's good. That's wonderful. You're looking good.
Appreciate it. And how are you doing? School's almost up for you?
Yeah, that's part of my elevator.
Oh.
So I'm definitely going up. Am I getting on your fancy smancy thieving ass elevator?
First off, we've
started a movement, a Black Air Force One movement, I feel like. And
I don't know if we started a movement.
Okay, well,
I think we may have.
We've spread the word.
I think we may have
propelled
returned the wheel.
We've propelled that movement forward. We didn't start it. You're right.
I think it's kind of like the Central Park 5. It was always there, but Ava came out, reshot it, and now it's
on the forefront of people's minds.
We're talking about it again.
Yeah, I still have yet to watch it.
Oh, I have,
and I don't know if I'm going to.
And we could definitely talk about that. That may even be a quarrel. I hate people who don't want to watch the stuff that you need to be watching, but we can talk about that later.
You heard that he hates me. Okay.
I don't hate you. I hate the actions of people who don't want to watch it. But we can discuss that. Mm-hmm. Listen, we can go in my elevator. Benson is ready.
Because Richard is that was his name?
He was a temp.
You know why he floats? You know why he's a temp and why he floats around?
No, it's like a substitute teacher. He only goes where he needs to go. You should know all about that.
Well, we don't really get subs that often, but yeah, I do. I know. But
anyway, so you can come on this fancy elevator.
I'm going up.
Thank you.
So
hold on, press the button. Thank you, Benson.
Anyway, so really one of the reasons why I am a really ready raccoon is because we are days away single digits, y'all, from summer break. And then by the time next week's episode come out, we will officially be on summer break. So I'm excited. 10 long months, September 4th to June 20th. And it is...
So you're just excited to not be at school anymore? Because you're still going to be teaching.
Yeah, well, that was a part of my other one. So I'm excited, but I'm excited for the break. So like, this is a lot of times my favorite time of year because it's the time of year where like you're not like testing is done, and the kids who are really problematic and have struggled all year are also gone, and like you need space. Like I've said on here many times about how like a teacher-student relationship is one of the most like intense relationships that you can have, because you're constantly around each other, you're constantly like demanding stuff from each other, and sometimes getting on each other's nerves. So summer break is a time for like reflection, is a time for relaxing, and it's well deserved because I know I bust my ass every day all year long. And so I'm excited for this break. But I also really like it because I am, a teacher nerd. So I get like, this is the time of year and over the summer where I start to think about next year. Like I think about, okay, what can I do better? What can I do differently? What do I want to see in my classroom? How am I going to be a more effective instructor? How am I blah, blah, blah. Like it kind of gets me excited again, because I'm like, I get to September is going to be like a whole new fresh start again. So I get excited and interested about what I can do better. And then on top of that, as TJ said, I am working this summer, and I haven't worked in a couple of years over the summer, not since like my first year teaching, but it's my first summer where I am going to be teaching adults. So I came through like a teaching program because it wasn't my original career, like when I got out of college, and now I'm coming back to that program to serve as an instructor to help new teachers like develop classroom structure and culture, and like showing them how to basically help manage their classroom, but also like develop a positive culture for them. And so as you can hear, we have a guest on the show. Somebody woke up from her mid-morning nap, I guess, a little early, so you'll just have to kind of enjoy the cute little voice as we record. But the best thing about working this summer, and that I'm still looking forward to, is being, of course, a little less broke. So got 2 incomes coming in essentially this summer, from my school year job and then also from my summer job. So
talk that money talk.
Yeah, listen, I'm just sitting here typing up all these bills, and I'm like, where's all the money going to come from? So I'm excited to get some extra.
I can always go back to slinging, moving these bricks,
Okay.
Coast to coast.
Yeah, okay. Says the star.
So,
well,
it's all about being transparent, you said,
Yeah, I guess so. But, well, how about you, sir? You going to jump on this?
I'm going to go up.
Okay, let's keep going.
Even though it's really
up.
a down moment, I'm going to go up.
Right.
So I watched When They See Us. Mm-hmm. It was a phenomenal directed film. I was too young to know about the Central Park Five. Always heard about it, but it's not something that they teach you in college or per se. It was never something that was brought up. They didn't talk about it in high school. My parents didn't even talk about it. I think it's something that anybody who has Black, Spanish, colored,
persons of color,
people of color, they should they should be aware of this story, and they should be aware of what happened, and they should be aware of their rights and how to fight it. It was just done amazingly, and you got to see how. People hate cops already, but you get to see why people really hate cops. And a white woman was raped, and they just assumed that it had to be these 5 people and
children.
Yeah, 5 children. I'm sorry, and you just got to see what happened to them, what happened in their lives, and it was heartbreaking. And it was kind of like eye-opening, because I've been around like a group of people who's doing dumb shit, and it's like I'm not doing it, but never think. Looking back at it now, like yo, they could have hit somebody, and now we're all going in for attempted murder or whatever. You know,
excuse me.
It's just a lot of things that you have to realize, and it helps you grow. You know, I think we need to be we need to see stuff and learn about stuff. I think a lot of the bad stuff that happened in the past, we don't talk about. And then when people remake these movies or remake these TV shows or talk about topics, a lot of people's like, I'm tired of hearing about it. But there's a whole new generation who don't know. And there's a lot of parents who aren't teaching. There's a lot of people who aren't teaching the past. So we need this stuff to re-come out because we don't know. And sometimes you have to modernize things. Like they remade Roots and people were like in an uproar. Yeah, because our generation probably wouldn't have watched the old Roots. We probably watched the more modern Roots. And I think that I gotta stop saying I think. I know that every black person should watch this. Every person of color should watch this. I understand it can be a tough watch, but it's something that we need to watch. It's a conversation piece. It's something that everybody who has someone younger in their life, they should watch it so that way they can have that conversation. So that way they can open up the floodgates.
I mean, I definitely understand where you're coming from because I think that it's obviously it's like the most watched film on Netflix.
I'm not saying to watch it because it's the most watched.
No, I'm
film.
not. I'm not. I know you're not saying that. What I'm saying is that like a lot of people have watched it, but
except for you,
and not just me, but I think that the point that you're making about if you are not informed, if you had not heard about it, if you thought why should I care about this, then yeah, you should watch. But I also know that watching something like that can be really traumatizing and triggering for a lot of people, especially people of colors, Black and Spanish people, because it's not like this happened 30 years ago and it doesn't happen in today's society.
It's a reality.
It is a reality.
So if the Trayvon Martin movie came out, you're not going to go see it.
No, I didn't say that. But what I'm saying,
I'm asking.
Well, but you need to let me finish my thought. But what it is like, if I think the point that you're making about people needing to see it because if they had no idea what it was or if they had,
I'm not saying,
but that's part of what you said. And what I'm saying is that I have to be in a space.
I'm talking about like the younger generations, the people born in 88, 87 who probably never heard of it. Yes, they need to watch it.
I had heard of it, and
okay.
I was young too when it came out.
So you didn't watch it because you felt like you knew enough about it.
No, I didn't watch it because I'm not presently in a headspace where like when you're walking into something. So
you can only watch something.
Are you gonna let me talk?
I'm asking a question,
but you're not letting me answer the last question. So I'm saying that you have to be in a headspace to walk into to sit down and watch something that you know is going to upset you and piss you off because it is traumatizing and the thing about it is that people, and I'm not speaking for myself in this case, but there are people who don't watch it, who are opting not to watch it or to stream it in another room so it gets their streams, but they're not ready to sit there because they don't want to be triggered or traumatized. They have a right to do that as well, because it's not because they're trying to keep their head in the sand or not be informed about it. It just means that maybe people aren't trying to like re-traumatize themselves to stuff that they've already experienced, possibly personally, or something that they see in the news on a regular basis. Or maybe they just need some time. I am someone who, yes, you and I were around the same age when this happened. So no, of course, when we were 2 and 3 years old, we didn't know what was going on. But I know growing up.
Sorry for the typing. I have to write down my question because Dani won't. She can't multitask. Go ahead.
The shade. Y'all hear this? So because I when growing up, I heard about the Central Park 5. I knew about the Central Park 5 when they were, especially once they got released and they got exonerated and they were all let out of jail. That's especially when I became more well versed in everything. Am I going to pretend like I know every single detail about what happened? No, but did I have a solid understanding of what happened? Yes, and so until I'm ready to watch it, I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to be guilted or shamed into watching it either.
I'm not saying I'm not guilting, and
I'm not a terrible person for not watching it.
I'm just saying that. So for you to watch a movie, you have to be in the headspace. Any movie, any TV show, you have to be in the right headspace to watch it. That's what we're saying.
Sometimes you have to be in the mood to watch something that you, especially if you go into it knowing that's like somebody saying like.
So when you went to see the final Avengers, you went in there knowing that someone was going to die.
Yes.
And that was the right headspace.
Yeah, and it's also a fictional account. No, it's a fictional story.
I feel like people hide behind these things. Like you got to be in a headspace to watch.
So somebody who watched.
So if Trayvon Martin movie came out, you're not going to watch it.
No, I'm not saying I'm not going to watch it.
Why not?
I'm saying that I'd have to. That's something where I'd have to go into it.
We go out on movie dates.
Prepared.
That's a movie that I should skip because you may not be in the capacity to go see it. If I bought tickets, if When They Seen Us was in the movies and I bought tickets, I shouldn't buy tickets for you because you may not be in a headspace to watch it.
Depending on when you bought the tickets for, yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't because sometimes it's like you can't be upset if people feel triggered or traumatized by it because it's not a cop out because
I feel like
what about the next person who maybe what if they have been wrongly accused of something and this is like similar to their own experience and then if they sit through it again and how they feel. I'm not saying that that's me, but my thing is like we're talking you've been kind of painting a broad.
You're talking about someone who's been through something. You've been through nothing, so it's not the same.
But I'm also somebody who living in 2019 who's up on the news, who's up on the state of our country, who's tired of seeing people that look like me and you getting killed unnecessarily or being targeted unnecessarily by our justice system and by our legal system and police system. Then yeah, I can say.
So how do you watch SVU?
I can say because some of those
they're all based off of stuff that really happened in New York City for special victims. It's a part of the special victims unit. Every week we know it's going to be something negative. But every week people sit there and watch it. I've never heard someone say, I can't watch SVU. It's the most traumatizing thing. I need time to be able to watch it.
I bet you if you ask somebody, you might ask somebody who was a victim of sexual assault or rape, they may not watch SVU because a lot of their episodes are surrounded by that. I'm not somebody who, that's not my...
We're talking about a black woman who's never gone through the police stuff. But
I'm also a black woman living in America.
Okay.
I'm a black woman with a black husband who fears for him when he's out and about because I know that there's a chance that who I've known. You've been profiled before.
I have been profiled before, but that's not going to stop me from living. I'm not going to be like, oh my God, I've been profiled. Let me not watch this movie about being profiled. This is going to bring traumatizing situations.
I
mean, listen, like I said, we could talk about it. We can agree to disagree.
We can agree to disagree, but you're being condescending. And
How am I being condescending?
You're like, oh my God, that's condescension.
Okay, well,
that's condescension.
But you're talking about something that I've lived and you've never lived. And I'm still living. I'm not afraid of it. I'm not like, oh my God, I can't, this thing, like, some people are triggered and some people aren't. I'm not triggered by.
Okay, and that's why some people can watch it and some people may not be ready to watch it. And
I think
that's
everybody
what it comes
should
to.
See it.
And that's your opinion.
You're
but
right,
you just
exactly.
Said some people. You just said some people are triggered.
That's why I said I think. I didn't say the world thinks everybody should see it. I said I think everybody should see it.
But see,
if you're a colored person, you
don't say.
All right, whatever.
Person of color.
If you're a person of color, colored person,
they're different.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Different to you. Let's say that, right? Because everything's about opinion.
Yeah, but I just think that you can feel like it's something that everybody needs to sit down and watch, and I can feel like it's definitely something that everybody can watch. But I understand why there are people out there who are not ready to watch it or who maybe can't bring themselves to watch it. I watched the trailer for it and I started getting like worked up, and that's why I knew. And yeah,
so the Oprah interview you're not going to watch either.
I did not see the Oprah interview.
No, I'm asking, you're not going to watch it because that should be traumatizing too.
I don't know. I didn't see the preview for the Oprah interview.
You got to see the preview first. I got it
to make an informed decision. Okay. Yeah, I do.
Well, I'm still keeping it up because from watching it and watching the reaction of the Central Park 5, the Exonerated Five, it was something that they wanted to do. They wanted people to know about it. They wanted people to talk about it. So it was done properly, and episode 4 was the toughest. So check it out, if you're not traumatized or anything like that. But I would say check it out, and then if you feel yourself feeling trauma, then put it on pause. But don't just skip over it because you've heard about it or whatever.
And
she's
now
angry now. So
and now it's time for the word of the week.
It's relationship tip of the week. Actually, see, she's all disembodied. That's not a word.
I
know, but it sounded funny. Yeah, she's really angry.
Because
me what?
I'm surprised you can hear me all the way from that high horse.
What high horse?
So, my relationship tip.
What high horse? No. There is no high horse. You said that you didn't watch it because you're not in the headspace, but I've never seen you say I can't watch this movie because of the headspace, or I've never did.
You've never been in the mood. You've never So I'll tell you, I have said that, and maybe I'm not using those same exact words, but same time, you complain about me all the time on the low end of things, not something as palpable and as emotional and raw as something like this. But you've literally been flustered and frustrated me when I've said I wasn't in the mood to watch a particular movie, or you want to watch.
Being in a mood.
Well, okay,
we're talking. You have to learn to be able to talk and have people rebut during the talk. If you can't do
have
that,
to let
then
somebody finish.
Go ahead, Danielle.
I've said I'm not in the mood to watch something because I don't want to watch a scary movie right now. I don't really want to watch something sad right now because sometimes you are just not in the headspace or the mood to see something that you know is going to scare you, bring you down, or maybe that's why people want to watch stuff to make them laugh because they want to get into a better mood. It's the same. It's at its essence, it's the same. But then add on top of that something that is traumatizing and triggering because it's based in reality. Like, people reserve that right to do that.
All right, and I agree with that. So by your thinking, whenever they talk about history like slavery, they should send home a letter to make sure it's okay and it's not traumatizing to that family. When they talk about the negative things that happen in U.S. history and American history, there should be letters that go home. We shouldn't just talk about it. When my teacher taught me about Emmett Till, he shouldn't have just told me about it because that was traumatizing, right? Based off of your logic, because people need to be in the right headspace.
To some people, it might have been. Some people, it might have been.
We should never talk about the Exonerated Five to
the
kids in New York City who probably don't know about it and don't understand that rolling with fuck people is going to put you in that situation. Being with the cool kids can get you into a lot of trouble. And a lot of people aren't built for that. A lot of people hang with the cool kids because that's what they think. And then when real shit happens, they fold. Mm-hmm. But you know what? No one talks about this stuff. No one talks about the consequences. People just always tell kids and tell people don't do things without explaining why. So that's why, to me, that this is important.
I agree it's important. I absolutely agree with that.
Growing up, my mother said, you can't be on the corner. There's nothing good that happens on the corner. So I skipped the corner. We had that conversation. She never just said you can't be on the corner, because typically when you tell people they can't do something, they do the opposite. But there's a lot of kids out there who aren't tough and think that they're tough. And if they had to go through what the Exonerated Five went through, they'd probably killed themselves. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people out there who don't know their rights. And because they don't know their rights, people take advantage of their rights. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people who probably don't have $1,000 saved. There's a lot of families who don't have $1,000 saved. They don't have any assets. And that's how, when these bail hearings come up, what are we going to do? Mm-hmm. So that's why it's important. I get it. It's not important to you, but based off of it has to be in the mood. Like, we're coming into a society where everything is negative. Everything has to be like, there's always an issue. They're now trying to say dodgeball is not a good sport because it's inhumane and something else. Like, we're so sensitive to everything, and everybody has to have to be in the right headspace, and everything has to be said at the right time, and we're just not living anymore. We're not living anymore. But like I said, back to the trauma and everything else, based off of that, in the public system, anytime we talk about traumatic things, do you agree that letters should go out? So that way parents can figure if their children will be in the right headspace.
I don't know. I think in some cases it might be, if you know, like I wouldn't play when cases? I wouldn't play when they see us for my students without communicating that at home with parents, because I teach young black boys, and even though I think it's important for them to know, and I know that some of them have seen it and they've talked about it.
Well, you couldn't play it for them anyway. You've never seen it. You can't play something for somebody that you've never seen.
I agree, and that's another reason why I wouldn't play it. But you're sitting there and you're comparing the fact that, like, you're trying to say that it's people being, or me being, overly sensitive. But my thing is this: if you're not easily triggered or traumatized by things, that's okay, and that's you. But if somebody else is, that is okay too.
I didn't say that it wasn't okay.
But you're trying.
I'm asking you a question.
You started by saying that you hate people who did the, like.
I'm saying that I hate people who judge stuff without even seeing it. You see the trailer and it made you tear up, which typically means if you see a trailer and it makes you tear up or whatever, it might be really good. Typically someone would at least try it, and then if it's too much, that's cool. That's like the people who went to the movies back in the day and they seen The Exorcist and they was like, I gotta go. I'm sick, I'm throwing up, I'm frightened. They at least gave it a try. I'm not going to give it a try because I feel like it's going to be too traumatizing, because you don't know what it is. But you made a point, and I'm just trying to see. Like, when my teacher showed me Emmett Till and gave us extra credit to find the picture of Emmett Till's face from the open casket, should he have sent home a letter? Because that could have been traumatizing. I mean, shit, it was traumatizing to me to see that. Mm-hmm. It could have been traumatizing to my parents. Mm-hmm. Is this something that we should do in the public school? When they talk about slavery, should that be something that they send home a letter to say, is it okay that we talk about this? It's maybe traumatizing to you. You may come from a family that your great-great-great-grandfather was a slave.
Mm-hmm. It's not the same.
When we talk, how is it not the same?
It's not the same.
Okay.
And I think that, like, agreeing to disagree means that there's a level of respect for the other person's stance, even if you do not agree with it. I respect the fact that you feel like this is something that every single soul should watch, as troubling or not to them. But I don't feel like, based on your logic and your train of thought, that you respect those people who are not yet ready to watch it, or who may never watch it because they feel sensitive, because we are continuously exposed to stories and viral videos and news reports and plenty of things that don't even get reported on a regular basis that align with the things that those 5 boys went through back in '89. And if that is like slavery, as fucked up as that was also 400 years ago.
Oh,
was
so
when, no. It's not. Listen, and you know what though? But like trafficking and things like that stuff still happens. But you're talking about something that was 30 years ago, and that we are continuously bombarded with in every day on our social media feeds, in our news feeds. And so people, all I'm saying is that there are people who, I agree that if you had no idea what the Central Park 5 was, that this would be a great way for you to get a really thorough, raw, emotional, nuanced understanding of what happened. But if you are someone who has experienced something similar to this, who is just exhausted and and feel beat down by having to because you see these types of things in our news feeds, in our phone, on our phones every day, basically, or you are somebody who is to some degree knowledgeable of the situation. You're not blind to it. You're not trying to stick your head in the sand about it. Then it's okay too to say, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet to watch it yet. Or I started to watch it, but then I couldn't finish it, so I turned it off. Any combination of that is okay too. That's all I'm saying, and all I'm saying is that you have to respect that, and that's what you're not doing. You're not respecting that.
I am respecting it.
You're not respecting it.
I don't agree with it, but I respect it.
No. You're not agreeing with it, but you're also not respecting it.
How?
Because of your entire tone and take on this. You're like trying to like shame people.
I'm not trying to shame people.
Okay.
I started asking other questions, and
your tone matters.
My questions were more so towards you. Because you're the one who said it. I'm just trying to understand. But it has to do with timing and relevancy is what I'm seeing. Slavery happened 400 years ago, so it doesn't matter as much.
I didn't say that. It's just maybe not as triggering and traumatizing. Okay. Because we're not seeing people being brought across the Atlantic in shackles the same way we're seeing cops shoot down people that look like us and pulling guns on people that look like us. It's not the same.
Okay. On to our relationship tip.
Not our relationship.
Exactly.
Tip.
Not ours.
My relationship tip of the week. Learn how to properly agree to disagree. But my relationship tip of the week has to do with, actually, my relationship tip this week is going to just stem from what me and you talked about, because what I had doesn't really apply because I think I covered it before. We have to learn how to agree to disagree, because in this instance that you and I just had, I felt like you weren't properly agreeing to disagree, but I also know that I have been guilty of that as well. And so I think when you're in a relationship, you and I just put the quarrel in Lovers Quarrel, but at the same time, we have to understand that if our opinions are different and valid, then that we can still be on opposing sides with somebody on a topic at hand without it devolving into something totally nasty or totally mood changing and day changing and life changing.
Like what you just did.
I was frustrated with you. I was annoyed with you, but I'm not going to when we finish recording, I'm not going to take this into,
I hope not,
the rest of the day, or I'm not going to I mean, you can hope that, but I'm telling you I won't, as long as you also we don't make sure in doing that, y'all, you got to make sure that you don't take I say this, if you use agree to disagree and you really mean it, then that also means that either you have to put a pin in that topic, you got to put it to the side, parking lot it, whatever you want to call it, or you got to say agree to also not revisit it constantly, as far as trying to take subtle jabs or anything like that either. So it's hard as hell, because TJ and I are both guilty of it sometimes, where we don't follow the advice.
If
but
they run this tape, they're going to see that you gave me a subtle jab. But go ahead.
Continue. No, but because I'm.
So are you apologizing?
No, I'm not apologizing.
You're not apologizing for your subtle jab? Just asking.
No, I'm using it as an example.
Got you.
Because I felt like you were taking subtle jabs at me.
I wasn't.
And so
I was analyzing and asking questions, but
but what I'm saying is that if we say, or you say, listeners, that with your friends, your partner, whoever, your family, that if it's a topic that y'all cannot seem to come to a meeting of the minds on, and you say agree to disagree, then you really have to mean that you're agreeing to disagree, and that you're willing to respect the other person's stance, or at the very least leave it alone. And that is my relationship.
I agree. I think you do need to accept someone else's stance and not try to change their stance. For me, my relationship tip is don't force a relationship or a marriage. I've been seeing a lot of like tweets and posts and, you know, memes and stuff like that. And I think people want things that they don't have. And then when they get it, because they're trying to keep up with the Joneses and everything else, they force things. Relationships, marriage, all that stuff comes with time. There's no right time. Only you and your partner or you and your friends know when the right time is. So don't allow society and them to determine how far a relationship goes or how strong a relationship is or how a marriage is started because you're trying to keep up with what they want.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that, sir. Well, with that being said, I think it's now time for TJ to enlighten us with a SAT word. And it's...
So my SAT word of the week is penurious, meaning extremely stingy or cheap.
Okay.
Danielle is penurious.
I'm stingy and cheap? Or are you just using my name as an example?
Not stingy. Extremely stingy.
Oh. Am I extremely stingy or cheap?
Listen, leave it ambiguous.
Oh, that's another one.
So.
Okay. Well.
And on that I yield.
With that you yield? Okay.
JK, she's not extremely stingy or cheap.
I'm not. Thank you. Well, thank you. I appreciate that word. I've not heard that one before, so I might have to incorporate that into my vocabulary. How is it spelled?
P. Oh, shit.
Oh, boy.
You know, when I put it down here, I don't...
Remember how you spelled it?
No, I just put it to how to pronounce it for myself.
Oh, phonetically.
Phonetically. There you go.
Okay.
You're an asshole.
I didn't say anything.
There was a lot of shade in that.
Okay.
So wasn't shady in there?
It was shady.
Exactly. That's my point. At least admit your shadiness.
I do when I'm being shady.
No, you don't. I have to be like, that wasn't shady, and then you be like, oh. But you're not going to come out outright. Like, at least I know when I'm being shady, I'm getting it.
You know, I'm just asking questions. I'm just trying to understand.
Mm-hmm. There you go, being shady again.
Yeah, that was me being shady. See, like my shady...
Hurt people. And I didn't hurt you.
You would know.
But the word is spelled Penurious.
Penurious. Thank you. Well, we know TJ is not penurious at all. He's actually... What's the antonym for penurious? That's what you are.
Now you're doing too much. Listen, it's just about giving them the SAT word. Honestly, you were supposed to be the one spelling it.
But I honestly had never heard the word before, so that's why I was asking.
No, I get that, but I'm supposed to say the word. You're supposed to spell it. That's it. That's how the show's supposed to go.
I apologize.
And you want to try to be shady.
Well, I could spell it like another word. I could spell antonym. I could spell phonetically. We talked about some other big ambiguous. I could spell that.
Let's go to our lover letter.
All right, let's try and help somebody. So this letter says. Dear Dani and TJ, I have been...
That's us. How many people remember that? I don't know what that is.
All that... That's not...
it was on that, but when you say it, you're not supposed to give them hints. It defeats the purpose.
Well, I mean, we would never hear their answer anyway because they're listening to us.
Yeah, but typically someone is going to tweet and they're going to be like, oh, that was from this.
Okay, well.
Anyway.
My bad. Sorry to spoil the fun.
Yeah, you do that a lot.
Was that a subtle jab? Is that shade?
No shade. That's honesty. Go ahead.
This is why nobody sides with you.
That's cool.
Because you be dead ass wrong.
I'd be dead ass serious.
And you're a dead asshole. So
what's a dead asshole? That doesn't sound right.
No, this one you
Go
ain't
ahead.
right.
Be great.
Let's get into this letter. I'm trying to help somebody else. Dear Dani and TJ, I have been with my husband for 10 years and we've been married for 4. We agreed to more kids, but after 2, I feel like that's enough. My husband, on the other hand, wants another. We agreed too late until we were both ready. But now I'm pregnant, excuse me. And now I don't know what to do. He doesn't know I'm pregnant. Ooh. But I'm not sure I want another one. What should I do? Sincerely, #knocked up. Oh, and they said an Akon voice. So let me rephrase that. Sincerely, #knocked up. That's a heavy one.
Sounds like she's contemplating chop shop.
That sounds like a definite contemplation.
I think once you're married, you can't withhold those things.
Well, you definitely need to talk to your husband.
Otherwise, if you do it and he finds out, he has every right to divorce you.
Well, I think that you should definitely tell your husband. That's number one. I know that like in the topic of like when you're talking about kids, when you're talking about in a marriage or in a relationship, and how many you're having is like can definitely be a point of contention or a hot topic, especially if you guys aren't on the same number, like if you're not landing on the same number. But knocked up, I think that you gotta tell him, because you're in a marriage, you've been together for over a decade. There's a level of trust and transparency that you guys have just developed over that decade, and if like he deserves to know. Now, what you two decide to do from there on out, I think is what's what's important.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. If you are married,
mm-hmm.
the woman can't just get an abortion without the husband's.
No, I don't think that's the case. Now, granted, because we live in Trump's America, lots of things have changed. But as best as I recall, if a woman were to try and have her tubes tied, or
maybe
if she's married, then I think that's like your spouse. You need, I don't want to say spousal consent, but like I think they have to, like the spouse has to acknowledge that that he is aware that she is getting her tubes tied. So I think that if you and him, like, obviously y'all were having sex, so pregnancy happens when people have sex, and even if you weren't obviously planning on getting pregnant, and you guys, I guess what I'm getting from this letter is that you guys agreed to 4, and then you had 2, but then you agreed to wait, because even though you're done, he wants one more. So you guys kind of came to an understanding, like, okay, well, we'll just put a pin in it, bump our brakes for a second. But upon doing that, you still found out that you were pregnant. And so now it's like, that's kind of the gist of what I'm getting from this. But I think, like, bare minimum, my advice is you got to talk to him. And then you guys have to have, like, the really difficult decision about what to do from there. And then also have to deal with the fallout of, like, if you guys can't come to an agreement about what to do. Because on one hand, best case scenario, you guys talk about it, you guys come to the same agreement, if that's to terminate the pregnancy or if that's to have the baby. At least that way, either way, you're on the same page. But if you don't, then that's going to be a long kind of battle ahead of you, because there's going to be the potential for resentment is going to be very high on one side or the other.
I agree. I think that you definitely need to have that conversation, and you guys definitely need to plan it out. You also need to figure out why you don't want any more. And you need to figure out, why does he want more? Can you guys afford it? And it's a lot of different factors that come into it. But I think the fact that you weren't expecting to get pregnant and you did may be a sign, personally. But,
Yeah, but
I think full transparency is important.
Yeah.
And I understand his plight, because me and Danny don't see eye to eye on children either, so.
No, I mean, and it's a lot, but I think, like, this is going to be, actually, I think that this is one time where, like, you can't just agree to disagree and then walk away from it, because obviously, like, there's something going on that you're working with a very sensitive window of time. But and I'm not sure how far along you are based on when you sent this letter and when we're giving you your feedback. But I hope that you've talked to your husband, and I really hope and pray that you guys like come to the same understanding, whatever that may be. Because, and I'm going to strongly suggest therapy too, because it's a painstaking decision, especially like in a marriage. Because, the expectation is like, oh, well, we're married, so whatever kids we have, we keep. We but I think that, like, you guys are going to have a lot of inner turmoil within yourselves and, within your marriage, possibly, if you guys can't come to an agreement. So also, like, keep therapy on the back burner to kind of work through this, because this is going to be a trying time in your marriage. So, if you're prepared to stick it out, if the love is there, if everything else is there, you have these other two beautiful children, then do the work to also make sure that you guys get through this difficult decision. And I hope that helps. And, if you feel comfortable, keep us posted on what you guys decide to do, because this is definitely a heavy one. And we hope that you make the decision with your husband that is best for both of you and your family. And now it is time for our quarrel, which I guess is our second one for the episode. So making up for lost time, I guess. Husband of mine, what is our quarrel?
So the quarrel I wanted to talk about, which kind of plays into when they see us, is what is the worst job out there? And, earlier in the week I asked Dani, and we kind of had a light quarrel on it, so I was like, this would be perfect. So I think being a lawyer is the worst job out there, because they lie to a sort, and or omit, and they have to defend some of the worst people. And I get that everyone deserves a fair trial, but I think it's just very hard when you know that you're defending a murderer, and that's your job. You have to defend a rapist, that's your job. You have to defend a thief, that's your job. And how I feel like it's the worst job, because you have to go home with that. And I feel like that plays mentally, I would imagine that plays in people's hearts,
I can understand, I guess, what you're saying, because lawyers have to defense attorneys, because all lawyers aren't defense attorneys, but defense attorneys have to defend people who are probably, some of them are obviously guilty, but then also they defend people who have been accused of stuff that they didn't do, and they do deserve an adequate defense. But I think I disagree, because I feel like there's always going to be outliers. There's always going to be people who do it for the wrong reasons. There's always going to be people who are like, I would rather, as long as I make money, like, I'm going to defend people who steal millions of dollars from people every day, because I know I get a cut from that. And those people are very scum of the earth. But there are also people in that field who are believers in the fairness and balance of the justice system, and that everybody deserves adequate representation, and even if the person is guilty, because it's about the spirit of the system. Okay. So I mean, I get what you're saying. For me, I know and
this stems from when Darden took on Nipsey Hussle's murderer. Mm-hmm. Like, who would want that? Who would want the job of the person to defend who killed Nipsey Hussle? Like,
somebody has to do it, though.
No, I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve his chance in court or anything like that. All I'm saying is that somebody had to defend him. Like, I would hate for my job to be, I have to defend these monsters. Like the junior in New York, the little kid who was murdered.
Oh yeah.
Like, they were just found guilty, but they had a defense attorney. Like, how can you go home knowing that I'm defending these monsters? They're on tape. It's a clear cut case, but I have to defend them. Like, to me, that's why I say I think it's the worst job. But what do you think is the worst job? Since
I mean, I definitely don't think it's that. I think that's. They may not go home thinking like I'm defending a monster. They may be going home thinking like this person. They could think that person is a monster, but maybe because they have such a faith or belief in the spirit of the justice system in America about people deserving adequate representation, that's what keeps them going. But I don't know.
What do you think is the worst job? I don't answer the question.
I didn't answer the question yet. I don't know if I have an answer to the question yet. I think the worst job probably I could think of or that comes to mind would probably be something where people who take from the poor and give to the rich, like the anti-Robin Hoods out here. People who make their livings capitalizing on the pain and misfortune and brokenness of the people under them. To me, those are the worst types of jobs in the world because, it's not a matter of ethics or a matter of having faith in the system that you're working in. It's about I'm rich and how can I be richer? To me, those are the worst ones. Because you are literally making poor people poorer or you're harming them or you're making resources and tools that they need to live inaccessible to them. So for me, those are the worst careers.
It's kind of like Martin Scarelli.
Yeah.
That's what I think his name is.
Yeah, or Shrakely, whatever. Yeah, the one who bought the $2 million Wu-Tang album.
Yeah.
So to me, that's the worst one because I feel like that's pretty cut and dry. Like.
But you don't think someone defending someone we know is guilty?
I think, I just don't think it's as cut and dry because I think that there are defense attorneys out there who have a belief in the spirit of the system. So even though they know that the person that they're defending, because sometimes there's defense attorneys who go into it. There's not every defense attorney doesn't go into it thinking that the person that they're defending is innocent. But they're just saying like this person they deserve adequate representation.
Yeah.
Even if it's to negotiate a plea deal, they still need representation.
Okay.
So
I didn't think about Big Pharma. That's a bad one too. But are you saying like the people who make the decisions in Big Pharma or just anyone who works for Big Pharma? Because there may be
the decision makers. I'm not blaming somebody who's making $60,000 a year trying to make ends meet, but the people who make the lobbyists, the people who make the decisions and have line politicians' pockets.
Do big
politicians could be one that one's not cut and dry, but there are a lot of shady politicians.
Politicians, yeah, definitely.
But I think that
we have the biggest one as our leader.
Exactly.
Who's also a big part of the Central Park Five.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
But I think that the people the decision makers, the ones who decide to make EpiPens cost, $300, $400, $500 a pop, and they expire every 6 months. So people with kids who have, peanut allergies or bee sting allergies or whatever, and they can't, but they're making, less than minimum wage, and they have to, or people who have diabetes and they have to ration out their insulin because they can't afford it, or people who have to ration out their medications because of whatever. Like that, it's just the first thing that popped into my head. But those people to me are
worse.
The scum of the earth. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. That was a lighthearted quarrel.
It was. I think we handled the big one in the beginning of the episode.
I feel like some snarkiness.
There wasn't. That was me saying that me and you kind of went at it earlier, so I prefer us to end on a more
positive note.
Yeah. And we can, I understand where you're coming from, and I think you understand where I'm coming from.
We can agree to disagree.
And
be loving.
And that's how that works.
Exactly. And on that note, this has been yet another episode of Lovers Quarrel, coming out on a Saturday morning before noon.
Yep, so it's still morning. I didn't lie.
And, thank you for rocking with us. We apologize for the episode not coming out last week. We apologize for it coming out late this week, but we're back. And, as always, hit us up on Twitter, Lovers Quarrel 7. Hit us up on IG, Lovers Quarrel Show. Send us emails at loversquarrelshow@gmail.com. And as always,
we fuss.
We fight. But we love. And bye.
Bye.
And before I end this episode, like I normally do, we have a special guest. So I promised this beautiful person that I would give them an opportunity if they were quiet. So Miss Tatum,
it's your turn. You wanna go sit with Daddy?
Can you come to the mic?
You wanna go sit? You wanna go to Daddy's mic, or you wanna go to my mic?
Go to Mommy's mic.
Okay.
Say hello.
Say hi.
Hi.
Say hello, world.
Hello.
Don't touch it. Just talking to it. Wait.
Hello.
Say hello, world.
Hello.
Say hey, everybody.
Everybody.
Say
What's your name?
Tatum.
Tatum what?
Bison.
Yeah.
Who's your best friend?
Daddy.
Who's your best friend?
Daddy.
Anything else you want to tell the people before we end the show?
What you want to say? You want to sing the alphabet?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
A, B, C, D, A, J, E, A, J, K, L, N, P, Q, S, T, V, W, X, Y, and Z.
Now
I know
know
my ABCs.
Next time, won't you sing with me?
Yay! Can you count for the people?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, count.
1.
No, you can't coast. You can't coast her. She know how to
Okay,
count.
guys, start counting, Mom.
Count.
1, 2, 3, 4. Mommy, look me.
Yes, my baby
All right,
Delta.
so she's
Baby.
over it. So
That's baby.
tell the people bye-bye.
Bye bye.
All right, y'all.
See ya.